Hey, welcome to 24-Day Challenge Intermediate B program. I'm going to jump right into the objectives here. The assumption is that you're doing this to complement your 24-Day Challenge nutritional program, also to burn fat and build lean muscle. Now, I'll say what sounds to be the obvious here, but you've got to really embrace this. We've got to work hard, get uncomfortable in the gym. In other words, do the opposite of what everybody else is doing there. Everybody else is on ellipticals, machines, doing bicep curls, tricep kickbacks, calf raises, all that kind of stuff like that. We're going to stay away from that stuff. We're going to do the stuff that recruits muscle, that gets our heart rate up, that helps us get the results that we're training for. So in doing so, to hit those objectives, we've got to employ an anaerobic approach to our training where your heart rate's going to get up, it's going to settle down. In other words, we're going to avoid that steady state exercise, kind of like jogging. We're going to avoid that in a gym. Now, the most effective form of anaerobic training is resistance training, because not only are we getting our heart rate up and letting it calm down and spiking it up and bringing it down, if you're selecting the right exercises, which we are here, you're also recruiting muscle with resistance training. And the more muscle we can recruit, the more fat we can burn efficiently. More importantly, the more fat we can burn in the time when we leave the gym. And we can capitalize on our increased metabolism and burn more fat before we come back to the gym again. So as you look at your program here, let's look at some specifics. You notice this is set up for a 4-week program. You're going to be performing 3 exercise sessions per week with a day of rest in between in terms of resting from performing this program. So you're going to let your body rest, regenerate before you come back again. So in general, let's say you're performing this Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It doesn't mean that you can't exercise or have activity on Tuesday and Thursday, because you can, but it just means that don't do this program on back-to-back days. You see a changing rep count as you look at your spreadsheet here. You see columns labeled times 10, times 12, times 8. Now you're going to be performing the same rep count on back-to-back sessions. So week 1, first column, you see times 10. You're selecting a weight for each exercise that's appropriate for about 10 reps, which means by the time you get to rep 8, 9, and 10, you're starting to fatigue a little bit. You're being challenged. Your technique's still good, but you're being challenged. That will carry over into the second session of week 1. Also 10 reps. By the time you get to the third session of week 1, you're going to change to 12 reps. So more than likely your weight will decrease as your reps increase, and that will carry over to the first session of week 2. By the second session of week 2, you see you'll change your reps once again to 8 reps. And in doing so, you're more than likely increasing your weight there to account in a decrease in the reps, and that will continue to the third session of week 2. By the time you get to week 3, you see the cycle repeats itself. 10 reps for the first 2 sessions, 12 reps in the third session of week 3, carrying over the first session of week 4, and then 8 reps in the last 2 sessions of week 4. So in doing so, what we're doing here, even though we're performing the same exercises for 12 sessions, 4 weeks, we're continuing to stimulate the body by adjusting and changing up the demands in terms of the rep count, the resistance throughout the 4 weeks. Now, as you look at your program here, we've got a balance of exercises. You've got a balance between upper lower body, pushing and pulling movements. So you're going to look at the first block of 4 exercises here: the half kneeling lift, the step up, the bent over row, and the single leg deadlift. You've got 2 upper body movements, 2 lower body movements. Again, you've got a mix there of upper body pushing and pulling, lower body pushing and pulling. So again, we're finding balance here as we recruit muscle in the body to perform these movements. The same goes for the second block of 4 exercises. This one's a little bit different though, because you've got the push-up, which is an upper body push pattern, train the front side. The lunge, which is a lower body knee dominant push pattern, train a little more the front side. The single arm row is your upper body pull pattern, and then the plate stack is actually a core specific one. So that one we're focusing more just on core training. I'll explain more as we get there, talking about each exercise. Now, to execute the program, you want to perform 1 block at a time and perform the exercises in succession. So on day 1, maybe I'm just going to go 1 set of each exercise. You'd go in there, you'd go 1 set of the half kneeling lift, followed quickly by the step up, followed quickly by the bent over row, followed quickly by the single leg deadlift. 4 in a row there with very little rest in between. Again, getting uncomfortable, getting your heart rate up, and transitioning quickly. There's built-in rest in the program because you're transitioning from upper to lower. So even though your heart rate's kind of getting up and down, your muscles are allowed to recover because we're changing which muscles are being worked from exercise to exercise. So once you start to add volume or sets or whatever you want to call more work to your sessions, maybe you transition from session 1 to session 2 and you want to add more sets, more intensity. So what you would do there, let's say we want to add an extra set in that top block of training. Instead of just performing each exercise one time for 4 sets. We want to add a 5th set. So you'd go half knee lift, step up, bent over row, single leg deadlift, and say we want to come back and perform the bent over row one more time. You would just double back, staying within the block, and perform that second set of the bent over row. You just gradually do this as you move through the program from session to session, from week to week. The hope is by maybe the end of week 2, beginning week 3, you're performing 2 sets of each exercise on there for a total of 16 sets. So if you were doing that, it would look like this. Half kneeling lift, step up, bent over row, single leg deadlift, regroup a little bit, come back to the top, half kneeling lift, step up, bent over row, single leg deadlift, and full rest before you move to the second block. That's up to you to manage that, but be conscious of that as you increase volume as you go through. Next, you notice there it says warm up, cool down, just very general there. Warm up, just do something to get your heart rate up, your core temperature up, your body heated up and ready to go. Maybe it's running in place, maybe it's jumping jacks, maybe it's body weight squats, jump rope, anything to get your body ramped up, ready to go. And you do that very quickly too. The cool down, simply hop on a treadmill maybe for 2 to 3 minutes. Just anything to let your body to calm down there, walk it out, and flush the system out. Now specifically about each exercise, you are getting individual videos in each exercise, but let's talk about each one here. Let's give a little extra coaching cues here. The cable half kneeling lift, one knee down, one knee up. The knee that's down, the hip on that side is staying extended. So what you're doing is you're really tightening that glute on that side to get that glute real tight. Notice that when you're doing this, the knee that's down is closer to the cable. Keep that in mind as you turn around to the other side. One set, to say you're doing a set of 10, would be right knee down, pulling and pushing for 10 reps, and then turning around, left knee down, opposite side for 10 reps. That'd be 1 set of 10. The dumbbell step up there, notice how at the top you really want to push and drive through the heel, finish with your hips tall, pause to the top, and come back down under control. 10 reps on each side, each leg would equal 1 set of 10. The head supported bent over row, notice the posture there. You want to keep your chest forward, shoulder blades back. You want to create a little arch in your lower back there. Hold that. The head is supported with the purpose of making you maintain that same position there, making sure that all work's being done, through the arms pulling back and the back flexing to do the work. You want to pull through the elbows there, not through the hands. Pull the elbows back deep to get the best results there. The single leg deadlift, notice that's a very hip dominant pattern, and that the knee isn't flexing very much, maybe 10 degrees. It's more about hip flexion, and you're going to pull back to the top of that movement. That's going to train more of the backside muscles, the hamstring and the glutes. You want to keep it flat back as you perform that deadlift. You'll perform 10 reps on each leg for 1 set of 10. The Bosu or stability ball push-up, whatever you have available to you. I kind of prefer the Bosu ball because you can get a little more aggressive with your load on that if you want to load with a plate on your back or do something for external load, but either one's okay. That one there you may eventually have to work as a burnout set. If you can't find a way to make it difficult enough for the, say, 10 reps or down to 8 reps, you can elevate your feet. You can load with a plate on your back. You can do other stuff. You can use a power band for extra resistance while you're performing the push-up. But if you can't find anything else to manipulate the push-up, just do it as a burn. Do as many as you can while keeping your technique clean. But notice the plank on that. You're keeping a very tight plank position, bridge position while you perform that push-up. The dumbbell linear lunge, when you get to the bottom of that movement, when your foot strikes out and you decelerate your weight there, both knees should be at about 90 degrees, and you want to push back to the top of the movement without swaying your back. You want to have all movement going through the legs, stabilizing your trunk, keeping your shoulders back and your chest forward there. 10 reps on each leg would equal a set of 10 there. The cable single arm, single leg row, using a cable there, if you're pulling with your right hand, you're using your left leg as a base there. You notice how there's a little bit of a squatting movement there on the down leg. That's going to add for a little bit extra intensity with the leg working there. Pulling through the elbow, finishing tall, letting it back out slow, really working there on some single leg stability while you're working to pull and train the backside of the upper body there. 10 reps with your right arm pulling, 10 reps with your left arm pulling would equal 1 set. And finally, the plate stack. This isn't an upper body or lower body or pushing or pulling movement. It's simply a core training movement where we're preventing movement through the core. You're trying to hold that plank and cross the plates over your body there. You can use 2 plates, 4 plates, however you want. You can really play with that exercise there, manipulate it, whatever you need there, but you're crossing the plates over while maintaining your plank. And again, you can, that's about 5 pounds there I'm working with. You might have to drop down to 2.5, whatever is appropriate for you to perform that set.